So everyone, welcome to our Elevate 6-week course. This is our up-leveling course, our language mastery course to sort of open up to allow us to live a high vibe life. Those of you who've been working with me for a while have been hearing me like, I need to lead a course on this because I'm, you hear it and I'm like, oh, I got to teach the concepts behind this. I can correct your language in and out at every moment, or I can teach you the concepts so that you can become aware of it yourself. And of course, that's my favorite thing to do, is to teach you to become self-sufficient and really be able to like listen and hear and shift within yourself. So really excited to be leading this. So this course does consist of 4 master classes. So it'll be 4 times like today, where we'll come together and we have a handout set and topics to cover. We'll be interactive. We can ask questions, engage with each other. And then there's 2 Q&A sessions. And the 2 Q&A sessions are where we come in and we just open format, in which I think you've all experienced Q&As in some form or another, which is we just talk, ask, and engage and share. And there's plenty of learning that goes along. And I can just make sure that I'm supporting anything individual that's going on for you as well. Also, what I'm going to be doing, because this content, there's, as you'll see through, even just if you've had a chance to look through the handout set, which is totally okay if you've not, I'm going to be giving on Mondays and Wednesdays, and some Fridays too. So if it's a Friday that we're meeting for a masterclass, you'll get it in your masterclass. If it's a meeting that's a Q&A, you'll receive it through on that day anyway. But on Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays is when you're going to receive your lessons. And so I'm going to teach concepts here, and then they're going to little bite-sized practices that you're going to get throughout the week as well. And they're kind of small, but they're all, and I'll explain what they'll look like soon. And the whole point is to just hopefully that you can look in and tune in to do those practices as well. They're just sort of awareness things, and they're just adding to your repertoire and awareness here. So hopefully, and that will come through email, and I'll share it also in the Facebook group as well. And yeah. And then I really hope that we can share a lot with this, because this is one where it's really helpful to talk it out and share what's coming up, because it's actually through the talking and processing that we can actually hear and realize the language that we are using. And we're actually in a place here, hopefully, this is what I'm hoping to create here, is that we can kind of be in a space where we can allow people to hear us and then offer us some, oh, I just heard you say that, or we can work with each other to help each other grow. All right. So any questions so far before we kind of dive in here? So I actually, so last night, sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't, sometimes I share it, sometimes I don't. But I pulled a 3-card pull for this course. And I thought, okay, I really felt called to do it. And I used the Work Your Like deck from Rebecca Campbell. And I very called to share this one with you guys. And I just got so excited about it. Because when it's so on point, I every time get excited. So I'm going to sort of open up today, just sharing the sort of card spread that I got. And so what I asked, as far as a group, as a collective, and what we needed to know, and maybe kind of where we were all at as it relates to this course, and what we're coming here to do and what we're coming here to experience. So I did a past, present, and future spread. Okay, so the first card I spread, so this is the past. Look at me getting so excited. It's also exciting for me, always. So I asked, basically, the past, of course, is basically the past is just very recent past. Where's kind of everyone at? Like, where are we coming from? What's going on? What is it maybe has brought you to maybe even signing up for the course, or where you're at in your current experience? And I got the no card. Can you guys see that? And so I didn't need to use the guidebook for this. And the no card was like, do you see it? This is how I see it. So I just see that there's a path. You can see this path. You can see where you're headed, but look at where you're headed. There's a big old no over there. So that is like the ceiling, the block. Like, you kind of know what you're doing, sort of where you're headed. There's some clarity there, but for some reason, there just keeps being a no on the other side. Something's sort of holding you back. Something's like, why can't I break through this ceiling? Why can't I, like I'm trying, but there's a no. I love that. I was like, that makes a lot of sense. And then I said, okay, as far as the present and what we're experiencing right now, how cool is this? Sisterhood of the Rose. And to me, this is, oh my gosh, look at the sisterhood. all these lovely sisters coming together, literal, not metaphorical, actual one here too, coming together in community in this beautiful safe space. And I just see that this is a safe space. If you just look at all the like around the colors around it, and there's this kind of like a container, this beautiful safe container. And it says mystic and teacher on there. And so I was like, okay, yes, as the teacher, I'm the teacher and I'm here to lead it, but we're coming together. See, there's no higher or lower here. We're just coming together and I'm just sharing. It's a sharing of the light, and together we're coming to learn and grow together. Pretty beautiful, huh? And then it was, where is this all headed? Look at that. Look at the people leveling up. So this is unbound. How cool is that? It's unbound. And I see here is that there's these tethers, right? And we're going to be releasing the tethers. It's literally what we're going to be doing in this course. And the tethers are our language, our words, our stories, right? So I'm going to teach you how to release those stories by paying attention to your words, by paying attention to your language, right? And in doing so, they are elevating. I know. I'm sorry. That's why I had to share it with you, because it was just so exciting when you just really see this beautiful, how it comes through. So they are rising up and towards the moon, which the moon represents feminine energy. Okay. And feminine, and it's kind of out of the darkness, right? Out of this, like, there's like this fiery, dark, cold space. Right? So anyways, just so you know, that's where we're all headed, and that's what's the experience. So hopefully that resonates in some way. All right, so let us pull out our handout set and let us dive in, unless there's any further questions before we get, any comments about the reading? Does it resonate? Good. Okay, so today I'm going to talk about I keep getting weight. Oh, that darn weight card. Right? How about, actually, does anyone want to share what kind of, maybe, I would like to do that. Let's take a quick moment here, and you can either type in the chat, or if you want to just, we'll do a very brief share, because there's lots of us on the call here. If anyone wants to call, just kind of like, what's brought you here? Just like, so Jen, you just keep getting weight, and that's kind of like, it's annoying. All right. So I'm going to just go, if you want to post in the chat, you can post in the chat, or raise your hand if you'd like to just say it. So what is the reason? It might be one word. Blocked. Yes, Melanie.
Stuck. That's it.
Stuck. I'm here because I'm stuck. Awesome. Okay. Anyone else? Getting some nods there. Yeah. Yeah. Stuck. Keep getting the weight card. Don't you love it when your cards are telling you, you're like, go? Anything else? I heard myself. I love it. Keep moving forward. Cool. So you can just feel like the awareness, right? Awareness. Wonderful. I love it. All right. You're in the right place, ladies. You're in the right place to influence those around me too. So positively influence, yes. Right? By modeling, of course. I love it. Yes. So the best way the way we can really influence people is by becoming what we are, becoming what we are learning, by modeling it. And in modeling it and becoming, we tend to be powerful influences, right? Rather than telling. Although when you start to learn the language stuff, you're just going to want to tell everybody and correct everybody you see, I promise you. And this is maybe just a great time to just talk about this briefly here. So even after today, you're probably going to have a level of awareness. You're just going to start hearing it in everything and everyone's saying, including hopefully yourself. But sometimes the best ways for us to learn is by hearing it in others. So I hear it in others. And so instead of correcting others, right, I'm going to encourage you to go, oh, what are they reflecting to me? Do I have the same story? Am I doing the same thing? Are they reflecting to me what's going on with me? Okay, instead of correcting them. Okay. Now, sometimes I have done the thing where I have tried to correct, doesn't always go over so well. Or I've gone into the place of, I have a suggestion if you're open to it. Okay, because remember we're going to have our left-hand people and our right-hand people. This isn't my analogy. It's Stacey Martino actually is the one who, she's a relationship coach, and she talks about left-hand, right-hand, which some of you have heard this before. Left-hand people are kind of growth-oriented people. They take courses, They enjoy social diverse, or they enjoy developing themselves, growing themselves. We just think it's a fun thing to do. We like being self-aware, and we think that everybody should be like this, because why wouldn't you want to be like this, right? And then we have our right-hand folk. Nothing wrong with right-hand folk, but they may not be interested in growing themselves. They may not be interested in changing. They may be very content and happy with where they are. Sometimes us left-hand folk want to go, you need to come over here. It'd be a really good idea for you to be here because I can see that you're suffering, right? And then we try and go, here, come on, come on, come on, come on. That doesn't usually work. We just have to recognize sort of who they are and where they're at. And the best way to influence people who are left-handed, remember there's no right or wrong here, is to model and to show and to share, and hopefully then influence or inspire, which may then positively influence them. Now, the reality is some people might go, oh, wow, that really is interesting, and I would love to hear how you do that. And then it's a really great time to give advice or to share opinion. Okay, I learned this from not doing this and seeing how it didn't work. So I really appreciated when I got that analogy, and I didn't make them wrong and didn't make me right, or didn't make me wrong and them right. It was just recognizing the difference. Okay. All right. So I called this course sort of an up-leveling course, and I wanted to be very, very clear right off the bat about what I mean about up-leveling. I think sometimes when we think about up-leveling, and I know if you were sometimes in certain courses or in certain circles, up-leveling can be very much like an outward measure, right? That I'm trying to attain an up-leveled accumulation of things, right? That I'm looking for outward success. There's some outward measure, and that's what an up-level is. Now, that could be part of an up-leveled experience that I'm talking about, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is an up-level in consciousness. Have you guys heard the word consciousness? Like, I know it's floating around out there a lot right now. And sometimes I know I was like, what the heck is consciousness? Like, I didn't get it at first. I was like, I don't know. It just feels like a really big word that I don't understand. And consciousness is really about kind of your energy, right? And how the people who are sort of more conscious, which we have to be careful about this being a superior, inferior thing, but just someone who is really kind of more conscious is more aligned with love. You're operating at a higher vibration. Okay, so if you look at the map of consciousness, this is the David R. Hawkins map of consciousness. This is the first page in your handout set. This is also in the Ignite course, so some of you will recognize it. It was Selena actually who showed me this, which I love. And it's really about the idea that someone who is more conscious or higher or up-leveled, again, this isn't an ego-based superiority thing. It's really reflecting their energetic frequency. They're operating in closer and closer to sort of love, joy, peace, ultimately enlightenment. So this is where they say Christ consciousness, or that those are the people like Buddha and Jesus, or the kind of spiritual leaders who have achieved enlightenment. That's kind of where you're moving towards. And really, what a spiritual leader who's achieved that level of enlightenment is, they recognize there's no separation. All there is love, and all is well. Essentially, that's what the idea is you're moving towards that. Okay. And so the idea of raising your consciousness is moving out of fear, moving out of grief and shame. So if we're existing in fear and shame, we're operating at a lower level of consciousness. We're seeing ourselves as separate. We're seeing ourselves as a victim. We're seeing good and we're seeing bad. We're seeing things as right and seeing things as wrong. Okay. And this course is really about how can we choose to instead see things as either just fear or love. That there isn't necessarily right or wrong in the world. There's just simply fear or love. And what are you going to choose? So right now, our world is a reflection of a whole lot of people choosing fear. They may not even realize they have the choice, or they don't even realize that they're choosing fear, because it's how we've just been conditioned to see, perceive, and behave in the world. Consciousness is about recognizing that choice. Consciousness is about recognizing that I get to choose love or fear, right? And then it's learning how to choose love over fear. This is what light workers and healers, we're all here to do right now. We can see that fear is consuming the world, and we can see what happens when that's going on. We cannot fight fear or fix fear or anything by being more fearful, by hating, by judging, by criticizing or condemning. So even people, I see sometimes even that, like, right now we see our world falling apart and we want to condemn the people who seem to be causing the falling apart. But condemning the people who are causing is no different than the people who are creating the falling apart. And it depends on which side you're on, of course. Do you see this? Which side? And so condemning the people for doing what's wrong is no different. It's still in fear. We must rise above that. We must choose a new way of being in the world. Okay. And that starts with each individual person choosing love more and more often for themselves in how they see the world, how they see themselves. Okay, it starts with yourself. That's really what it is. This is why we are doing this work. When I can start to see my world and myself through the lens of love, then that begins to ripple out. And then the choices I make become more aligned with love, and that begins to ripple even more. That's actually how we heal. Both ourselves, our families, our communities, and ultimately the greater world. Does that make sense? So it seems like a big job, and we're not going to sit out here to heal the world. But by just healing yourselves, that's what you're doing. And that's what's cool. It always comes back to, like, how do I affect change? How do I, whatever? It actually starts with you. It starts with you moving closer and closer to love, right? And then that starts with you seeing your life and your situation through the lens of that. So today, or this course, is really about you learning the language, learning to pay attention to your words, and learning how you, as you can move towards love and release these sort of fear-based tendencies that your words are showing you, to be able to create more love, more positive, more great experiences. And that's what it's all about. When you are joyful and when you feel pleasure and when you're following what lights you up, right, then you are delivering and being love and being joy, and you give that to the world. But we got all these stories. Oh, but do I deserve all that? Because we tie it to material things. We tie it to some story that we have about deservingness and some bullshit like that. That's my whole thing right now. All these bullshit stories, because that's all they are. They're stories that we tell ourselves based on what we picked up along the way. Right? I don't want to diminish them saying that they're not big for you, because they are. I get that. But when we can just start to go, oh, wow, like I can just choose differently. I could choose to see this differently. And in choosing to see it differently, I'll have a different experience. And we're all here to create. We are the creators of our lives. And we're here to create a beautiful life, to feel good, to feel joyful. That's our divine nature and our divine right. Okay. Anytime that we're going against that is because we're operating in a lower consciousness. We're operating in fear. Okay. So our goal here is to raise our consciousness bit by bit. So I can say, let's just say I'm operating generally at the level of love or level of joy. It doesn't mean that I don't dip ever. I don't necessarily dip into shame or dip into fear, but I'm not operating predominantly from there anymore. And that's what we're working on, is that I'm just operating more and more in the direction, in the higher vibe. So when we think about vibe and we look at this chart, the top of it is high vibe, literally from an energetic frequency standpoint, right? And then the lower end of the chart would be so lower vibe, like lower energy, more dense, okay? And you feel that. And you will know based on this chart here, simply looking, where am I at right now, right? And you can just simply look based on kind of your feelings are always communicating to your current energetic frequency. Careful about labeling that, oh, great, I'm unconscious. Sometimes we do this, or I'm low. It's like, that's just your current vibe, okay? And it's changeable. You have the power to shift it or to change it if you choose. That's what I want to teach you here. And we're going to use language is our way to shift that over the next 6 weeks. Do you have any questions about that? Comments? I love, Selena uses the analogy in the Ignite class when it comes to this consciousness chart. She just sort of gives the analogy of a building, like a high rise, right? And she's like, some people will be living on the basement floor, on the main level. And when they look outside, they can see the dumpster, they can see street level, they can see everything going on out here, okay? And some people will be living on floor 8. And on floor 8, they have the view of a sunrise. They can see over top of the city. They're beyond some of the surface level stuff, and they're above it. And that's kind of what it's like. And it's not that the person in 8-4 can't go down and be on the level 1 floor, right? But predominantly they're living there. And so a person on the level 8 floor might be like, oh my gosh, look at the beautiful sunset. And they might say it to someone who's existing predominantly in the basement floor, and they're like, I don't see a sunset. I don't know what you're talking about. The person on the basement floor is not wrong. And neither is the person on the 8th floor. It's just they have a different viewpoint based on where they're on the level that they're at. Right? So we can each shift our view by shifting our consciousness. Okay? Make sense? All right. So your emotional state. So we can kind of use this this little chart here. This is what I'm referring to here. So your emotional state and your view of life will reflect your current level. Okay, so again, level of consciousness, no right or wrong, no good or bad. We got clear, right? There's no superior, less, worse, better than. It's just, it is what it is. And then the language you use will show you why. Okay? So your words and your thoughts are simply energy, attracting what is an energetic match. So words have energy. We know this. Think of the word like hate, or think of the word can't, or think of the word, what is the energy behind that word? Versus the energy of like love, passion, gratitude, you know, what is the energy of it? You can feel the energy of it. So if you are using words that have a lower energy vibe to them, that becomes your attraction point. So if we can just shift our words, now we have to shift the belief with it. We got to feel it too. I'm not going to pretend here I'm going to just flip out words and everything's going to be golden. But first recognizing that our words have power, they have energy, and they attract. Okay? So if you want to up-level your experience or your state of consciousness, the easiest way to start is to pay attention to the words you think and you speak. So when I talk about up-leveling your experience, this could be that as I up-level my consciousness and I come into love and I allow more love and I allow more positive, it could very much reflect in different outward experiences, right? It could very much reflect in the having of new things or different things, but it's not what it's about. It's because I'm actually allowing them into my experience them. I'm allowing more pleasure. I'm allowing more fun. I'm allowing more things that are like enjoyable for me. And if there's some physical things or tangible things that are enjoyable for me and I'm in joy, those things will come much more easily to me. Whereas if I'm existing in fear and don't believe I deserve and have a hard time seeing myself as worthy of something, then I will likely repel all of those things that I enjoy. They're not a match. So if I'm existing in fear and insecurity, and the things that I love and desire are in love and joy area, then we're not lined up. Not an energetic match for me. So we're always going to get a match for our energy, and our words reveal kind of where we're at with that. That make sense? Questions? Comments? No? Okay. So when it comes to paying attention to your words, and why I think words is a great place to start, is because your language reveals your thoughts. Okay, so your language reveals your thoughts. Makes sense, right? Your thoughts are a reflection of your beliefs. Your beliefs are a reflection of what you believe is real and true. And what you believe is real and true is simply, until otherwise aware, is simply based on what you've experienced up until now. So every single one of us on this call has a different view of reality. Right? Who's right? Who's right? Well, we're all right, because what you believe will come true. So what you believe is real and true will become that. Your beliefs become your reality. We often think of the other one. No. See, there's all this evidence out here that this is happening, so that's why I believe it to be true. Maybe just take even just this, us being on a call here. We're all having completely different experiences right now about this call. We're all thinking different things. Is any one of you right or wrong? No, it's just based on what you believe to be real and true, and based on what you believe to be real and true will be for you, but it won't be for someone else. How cool is that? I think that's cool. To me, this is always where I see where our power is. So you create your own reality by what you choose to believe and give attention to. So here's the thing, something else we do. Oh yeah, I'm totally loving and deserving. And then I go and pay it. So I believe I'm loving and deserving, but then I go pay attention to all the ways, I give energy to all the ways I'm not. All the ways I think that are in not a match for that. So I might really kind of believe that I'm loving and deserving, sort of, maybe a little bit, but what are you giving energy to? Because it's what you give energy to that really what you manifest. Okay. So if you are unsatisfied with your reality, or you simply just prefer an up-leveled experience, like, you know what, let's see what's next. That's kind of the way I'm at with it. Like there's things, yeah, I could improve this over here, improve that over there. But then at some point I could easily get to, well, you know, I'm good. I'm comfortable. Like, why would I want anything more? Ooh, being greedy, you'd be greedy to have more. But I gotta just bring in this energy of like, here's my belief. This is my new belief, or not new, but like, I wasn't raised with this belief. Is just that I think we are here as humans to simply enjoy this physical experience, period. So if we're a spiritual being, right? So I don't have to sell you on the fact that we're a spiritual being, right? So we're all spiritual beings having this human experience. If I'm in spirit form, I can't create anything. I don't have a mind. I don't have a body to actually create anything. So I get to come into this thing called life, have this human body that has this gift called a mind. And the power of the mind is that it can create anything that it believes is possible. And then we have the gift of this emotional system. And then we take the power of the mind, combine it with this emotional system, and poof, we create what we choose. Now, of course, we have all this inner conditioning and outer conditioning that tells us, oh no, that's not possible. You don't deserve this. You can't. There's all these rules we've been created as a result of what we've experienced, because we've completely blown up that whole truth into a very complex ordeal. But the very heart of it, that's all that's going on here. And we're here to create. We're here to experience. We're here to go and have this, like, what can you create? What are the possibilities? Does there have to be a limit? Does it have to be endless? Does it have to stop? Or could you just keep creating what feels fun for you? And I would really invite you to go on a soul level, right? On a soul level, because ego may have a different idea what that might look like. So I always like to say, we're here, we have this gift of this physical body to do it. That's what I believe to be true. Now, yes, I have some stuff in the way of that. So because of my conditioning, I don't know, I get caught sometimes too, but this is what I keep bringing myself back to. I just love that, how all that brings this awesomeness, sense of possibility. Yes. Like, we've got these rules. Like, how many of you have rules about what you can and can't have, what you deserve and what you don't deserve, what's like right and wrong? Gosh, like what makes you good, what makes you bad? I think my rules have rules. No, we do. We have so many rules. And I came back to this point where this is a lot of my stuff and my kind of processing is like, you know what? There is no right or wrong. Like, seriously, what if there was just no right or wrong? That's really hard. Well, what do you mean? And I had challenged myself. Well, what does it really mean? And I was like, no, there's no right or wrong, but there's love and there's fear. Okay. And love is compassion, understanding, forgiveness, joy, pleasure. That's what love is. So if I show up in the world aligned with love, that's what that is. And so my choices are aligned with that. That's what we're here to do. You don't have to. You can choose fear. You'll have the experience of that, right? You'll have the experience of fear, which could be anger, resentment, hatred, guilt, shame, worry, and you will get the reflection of that. But is that what you want? Is one right or wrong? No. But one will likely create an experience that you really enjoy, At the end of your life, go, oh my God, that experience of life was so much fun. I can't wait for my next one. Right? You know, and we're here to create. And all our beautiful, like bring our unique brilliances. Like, what are you, like Lisa, what are you meant to create? Jen, what are you meant to create? Like, we're all meant to create different things. And this isn't about a big life. This isn't about, I got to create some massive thing that changes the world. No, you're here to be love, and that changes the world. That's it. And then where does love lead you? That's it. Where does it lead you? And it may not lead you all over the world in big ways. It might lead you to just really love and be love in your immediate family, and that's it. And to grow that and be with that and experience that in a really beautiful way. Or it could lead to big things. I don't know, right or wrong. Right? So I just challenge you or invite you. I don't challenge you. I'm here to invite you. What do I choose, love or fear? And every time, the more and more you choose love, the more and more you choose love, the more you rise. And the more you rise, you help others rise just by being you. And the more of us rise together, see like that middle card of the sisterhood? Yeah. The more love lights up, and the less room for this other stuff. Okay? And we don't have to do this perfectly, right? We don't need to be perfect about this. I know we have some perfectionists, including myself, on this call. This isn't about a perfect thing. It's about this spiraling upwards. It's about ascension. Ascension is about that I just keep choosing love more often. I keep allowing it even more. And as I do this, I come around it. So we come around a spiral, and the back end of a spiral tends to feel pretty shitty. Okay, just so you know. But all that's happening on the back end of a spiral is you're invited to, because on the back end of a spiral is showing you where fear is existing on some level. So we're on the back end of a spiral. It's simply, we're there for you to be able to go, oh, I'm being called to invite in love here. So is it forgiveness? Is it compassion? Is it understanding? Is it a new story? So what is it? So the back end of a spiral. So basically when I'm feeling shitty, this is the real basics of it. I'm on the back end of a spiral. As I move through it. So as I move through it, can I bring more love into this? And the more I bring love up, I come up. I come on the front end of the spiral, and I'm now more in love, and you'll be on the back end of the spiral again, I promise. It's life. If you're choosing to up level, if you're choosing to keep expanding, because that's what we're here to do, because it's fun. That's why we chose to come here and have this earthly experience, right? So back into spirals are always just inviting in love. And then I come round and I come up the other side. Now, the cool thing is, as you become more aware, as you become more practiced, as you become more skilled, sometimes you can move faster through that back end of the spiral. We were talking about this a little bit earlier. Like, yeah, I had something come in this morning, flip me to the back end of the spiral. I was out of it within 2 minutes. But however, some other stuff isn't a 2-minute solution. I'm not promising 2-minute solutions all the time. But it's that I know how to deal with the back end of the spiral, and I don't just stay on the back end of the spiral. Right? So that's it. So that's what I'm here to give you, is some of the tools. Another tool, which is the ability to see your language as a tool. Your language is a tool to help you move through the back end of the spiral and continue to spiral upwards. And spiraling up is all about moving to closer and closer to love, or more and more love, inviting in more and more love. Sound good? All right. So this is another thing too. I just want to affirm this. So if you're unsatisfied with your reality or simply prefer an up-leveled experience, I think I just said this, only you can change it. No, I didn't say that. Only you can change it. So like, again, you are the only one. Now you may need support. You may need help. You may need guidance. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. But nobody can change your belief system for you. I can't make you think something different. And I can't change so that you are happy. I know, right? I can't do something different. Like, this is our power centered. So to me, I'm like, this is excellent news. Meaning that, imagine if you had to wait for someone else or wait for permission outside of you to actually be able to change or to shift. That would be annoying, hey? How many of us do that though? I've done that. Well, until you change, or till this changes, or till this changes, I can't have a different experience. I do that. I've done that. Poor husband. poor mom, poor dad, you know, I've had a lot of those situations. Until you change how you think, then I'm stuck where I am. Only you can do that. And that is then choosing your perception of how you see the situation and how you frame the situation with your words, which then shifts your belief system. And then you get to be the creator of your experience. Like you can intentionally create it. So right now, quite often we're sort of intentionally creating it. Like in some ways we are, sometimes we're not. But we are. And then, so yes, there's a sort of like unintentional creation and intentional creation. And I would imagine everyone in here on some level is a little mix of both. Right? So this is really teaching you how can I become even more of an intentional creator? But this requires you to be the intentional creator of your experience. This absolutely requires you to take full ownership of it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, this is not a blame thing. Someone goes, oh, great, this is all my fault now. I'm not saying that at all, because up until this point, we have all been unconscious creators. We've just taken the belief systems and things that we picked up along. We took our parents' belief systems, our cultural belief systems, our society belief systems, and we just believed them to be true through no fault of our own, just our conditioning. So there's no blame here, absolutely none. But a requirement, in order for you to be the one who creates your experience, you do have to take full responsibility for it. Okay? And full ownership of it. And so if something, I've seen this happen too, someone who believes this and buys into this, and then they had an experience they didn't like, and they're like, oh my God, I brought this on, I'm so bad. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. Like, so we don't need to blame ourselves. In the moment that something's come in that's like, ooh, this is so comfortable. That's when we get curious. Okay, curious why this came in. What is here for me? So there's no room for blame here. When we're operating at a higher consciousness level, there is absolutely room for no blame. Cool? Do we agree with this? So if we're experiencing something in our life that we don't love or doesn't feel so hot or whatever, like we really got to move out of judgment and shame and blame and criticizing. And we just got to, okay, cool, I'm curious about this. Like you didn't bring this on purposefully, of course. But likely there's an inner belief or an inner story that simply you're not aware of. That's cool. That's what we're here for, to learn and to grow. Okay? So we're gonna watch the ego creep in. You're gonna feel it. I guarantee you. Sometime over the course, you're gonna be like, ego's gonna be like, oh, look at you, you suck. You know, like you're to blame. And it's like, no. Sorry, I'm not buying that story. I'm recognizing that I may not have had the awareness before because of whatever. Who cares? It doesn't even matter, right? But I'm gonna choose differently now, and I'm gonna practice imperfectly going forward. Okay. So the key to changing your reality, changing your experience, raising yourself up, is bringing the unconscious beliefs that are creating your current experience to light. So you can choose again. You do not have to choose again. Full permission to continue doing what you're doing. It's cool. You don't have to, and you don't have to catch it all at once either. But the idea being is that I could choose something different. So this isn't working for me. I don't like how I feel right now. So what are the beliefs and what's the story I'm telling myself? And let's pay attention to it from an observer standpoint. And now I'm going to choose again, but this time with awareness and intention. So I can guarantee you something that you're not liking in your life, or you're not enjoying the experience of it, just because you haven't chosen it with a level of awareness or intention that you're at yet. And that's cool. Okay. This is how we move from unconscious creation to being an intentional co-creator, AKA manifesting master. So we hear this like manifestation, like it's a buzzword, right? We hear it all over the place. Like you got to be manifesting master, which is cool. That's exactly what this is. And I think sometimes we can go, well, what does it mean to be a manifesting master? It feels like I got to be really good at really good at making things happen. Like, well, how do we do that? How do we allow things to happen? And that is really about being intentional and aware about our choices. And our choice to think what we're thinking, our choice to speak what we're speaking. That's our choice. Okay. So this is how we move from manifesting master, or from repelling to allowing. Okay. So usually when things aren't working out, is there something going on an energetic level where we're keeping it out here? Okay. Questions, comments. Yeah, but. So I want to ask, does anyone get kind of freaked out about the idea of like, oh, I got to take full responsibility for my experience? Does that kind of go, oh, anyone kind of go, oh, I don't know, that feels tough.
Sometimes.
Yeah, let's just be real about that.
I feel like listening to you talk and like this whole sort of 40 minutes of powerful possibilities and co-creation, like it feels so motivating and so good. But then something crummy will happen or a trigger will happen. And then in that moment, it's like, oh, I'm supposed to be co-creating this for myself. Like it just starts to get really hard to shift that perspective. So yeah. I would say those are sort of when it gets tough. So this is great because it's really good to sort of refuel your motivation, recognizing that you can choose to do differently. And I really liked what you said about doing it imperfectly, like super imperfectly. I wrote down super because I know that's just what's going to happen, right?
Permission to learn. Like, I think this is another thing too, where we go, especially if you're a perfectionist or you just really, really want a result, like you're really tired of being where you're at and you really want a result. So you're just like, oh, I got to get this. And then when it doesn't work, I suck, right? There's this kind of energy around it. It's funny. My son he's skiing and he's just keeps wanting to do double black diamonds. He's just like skied 12 times. And he just, every time he goes, yeah, I can do it. So my husband finally took him up on a double black diamond yesterday. And so he rolled down part of the hill. Like, of course you were going to. Like, why are you thinking that after ski? No, like, it's okay for you to think that you can do this and grow. But then he was so mad at himself, and he just starts throwing his stuff, like getting so mad at himself because he was not giving himself space to learn. I said, bud, when you just went and up leveled, you just went into and tried something harder because you've given yourself no space or grace to fumble or to learn. And that's what we need to do here too. Because you're going to fumble, you're going to catch stuff. And so we really got to give our space and like self space to grow and to learn this stuff and integrate this stuff. Like we're working with stuff. Let's just be really real here. How old are you? All of you just go, okay, I'm whatever. Some of the belief systems have come in not only from like however old you are, you've had it your entire life, but you may have a family or generational pattern at play here. Right? And so the energy behind that story is intense, right? It's like, oh, feels really strong and real to me, right? So it is going to have a strong pull. Doesn't mean you have to stay stuck there, but that's why we need lots of grace, lots of understanding with ourselves, and allow ourselves. Don't expect us to go to the double black diamond and be perfect at it the first time, right? We are talking about high level stuff here, which is super cool. We're talking about some pretty high level stuff, like how do you really consciously create your experience, right? So it is high level. So it is going to take some practice. And if you're existing currently, if you look at the map and you're like, or the consciousness chart, and you're like, oh, I can kind of see myself kind of being at fear, which is about 100. And we're inviting you to move towards, hear my language, we're moving towards, let's say love or joy, which is 540. Like there's a gap there. And in that gap, there'll be plenty of learning opportunities that show up as challenges, which brings me to my next point. So how do you become an intentional co-creator? You use your triggers, your obstacles, your challenges, and your pain to tune into the unconscious beliefs that are creating your lowest attraction point. It's your lowest point. It's not just saying that it's the only point, but it's your lowest attraction point, which ultimately is creating your current experience. So we're going to use them. We're going to use your pain and your challenges and your obstacles and in service to your growth. How cool is that? Because I think this is what we do. We sit at the beginning of the year. If I'm not, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, it's a new year. I'm going to attend to feel joy this year and peace and love. And I maybe even led you through that process, right? And then here we are, January 11th, and you have a back issue. And I could have easily, and I hear this all the time with resolutions. Oh my God, it's only January 4th and I already have an obstacle in the way. Oh my God, we're only in January and I'm off track. Oh my gosh, I'm only in January. It's done, the year is done. Because we don't see our obstacles as being in service to our growth. We see them as being in opposition to it or in the way. So like, I'm not kidding you, when my back went out, it did not feel pretty or feel fun. I think everyone knows I had a back issue. It was out for a bit. it didn't feel good. I was in severe pain. However, like mentally, I was like, ooh, something's good here for me. Like I knew it. I was like, and as crazy as that sound, most people will be like, oh my God, are you okay? Yeah, this really hurts. But boy, I can feel that there's going to be some juicy healing coming along here. So I used that in service of. I knew that if I could bring all my tools and all my little things to this experience, that I will move through it and come out of it more aligned with love. I'll have more love. I'll have more compassion for self, others, who knows? I didn't know what that was going to look like. I just knew that the degree to which I was in pain meant the degree to which the breakthrough was going to happen. So I kind of got a little bit excited. Not that I always want to learn through pain. Like I'm not inviting that in, just to be very clear. However, we can use our obstacles. We can use our challenges. We can use our pain in service of. How's that sound? Is that good? Right? We don't require them to grow. But this is the thing too. We kind of sit there and think that, okay, like, because I'm intending to be loving and joyful and have all these positive things, nothing bad should happen. But remember, we're just spiraling through life. Things are going to happen. That's part of life. Don't expect them to happen. Don't be waiting for them to happen. But like, because I was unconscious about some stuff, I didn't know some stuff. I got some stuff. I was like, oh, here's some unconscious beliefs. Whew, these are big ones. And I didn't know they were there. Or I didn't know to the degree to which they were there. Am I bad because of that? Am I wrong because of that? Am I less perfect because of that? No. So I got to experience some pretty cool healing along the way with that. So we're going to use those things in service of. So don't get all freaked out if you have some stuff coming in. And if you do have some current stuff going on, be like, sweet, I got some stuff to work with. Again, you don't have to have challenges. You can work with this without challenges. But sometimes that's where our challenges are where our pain is where a lot of our unconscious stuff is. A lot of the stuff that's like really not serving us is usually sitting in those areas. So it's ripe. When I say it's ripe with juicy information that will really help you create positive momentum. Raise you up. Questions, comments? So this is the cool thing about the imperfection piece. Yes, Lisa. Makes sense. Awesome.
Unmuted me.
Yeah.
So I'm just sitting here thinking, because I was like shaking my head. Yeah, like I believe that. I feel like the words I tell myself about myself are so super positive. But as soon as somebody else says something, it's gospel. Like, and I have some toxic people in my family. And like, for instance, I haven't talked to my sister forever, and she can just send me in one conversation that if you're just evaluating like the fake conversation that we had, it was a good conversation, but she's an insecure person and she puts people down. And then why can't I just get off that phone call? Like my heart's racing right now. It infuriates me. So how do you move past that? Like, how do you not let those hurtful people, like, it's not like, I mean, I've forgiven them all. I know I know nobody's perfect and they didn't mean to. And I mean, I know all this on a deep level, but how come I can't,
Yeah.
my head can't be stronger than their words.
Oh, well, there you go.
That's what
Right. You just got it. My head can't be stronger than their words. There's your thing. There's your belief right there. So that's what I want to help. That's what I want you to start paying attention to your language. Why can't my head be stronger than their beliefs? That is the belief. And tell me why.
No, I don't know why. Because my head, when I get off the phone, I'm telling myself all the positive things. Like, you know.
So why doesn't that work? Tell me why. Okay, so this is one of the things we're gonna get out right away. So the very first instinct when someone asks you why, well, I don't know why. So instead of saying I don't know, because none of us really know, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull an unconscious belief out. So I don't know just means I'm not conscious of it. That's it.
Okay.
So we're gonna do a whole lot of why in this course, and I want to get you to challenge yourself to use why as well. So when I say why, just sit with it for a second. Okay, so don't say I don't know right away. Just go, oh, okay, and just then see what comes. So why why when you say why can't my head be stronger than her beliefs? Is that what you said?
Her
Sorry.
word.
Yeah, her words. So why? Because
I guess because for too many years I'm just newly strong, this strong, but I like only like I'm only a year in
okay.
of believing it for myself. So I guess I don't know.
No, keep going. So don't say I don't know. Thank you for being willing to demo this, because this is exactly what we do. This is exactly how we shut ourselves down. So we just keep going. So because I'm only a year in, and so I'm not really that strong. And
I've given them too much power, I guess.
Mhm.
I guess that, yeah.
How come? Why did you give them so much power? Because that's the sort of thing when
I
we
want to say I don't know, so I'm just keeping my mouth shut. I don't know.
okay, so I don't need to keep grilling you, but I just want this. Thank you for being a demo for that, and just being brave to share your story with that, because this is exactly what we do with ourselves. We shut ourselves down before we want. I don't even know. We kind of come up with the surface one, and then we want to be able to drill it down, which we are going to practice this. So it's okay. You don't have to have this all figured out now, but we're going to practice being able to drill it down, which means we have to keep asking why. Okay, but why? But why? And ultimately, what will happen is there'll be this like core belief sitting there. And all of a sudden, the core belief will make so much sense. So yes, consciously. So when I talk about unconscious beliefs, so consciously, you're like, yeah, consciously, I know better. Intellectually, I know better. Your intellectual system is not running the show. You're not running the show. Intellectually, we know better. What runs the show and what creates your experience is your subconscious. Super important to know. And your subconscious is super literal. Like it literally takes everything you take literally and then translates into current experience. So that's why we go, I don't get it. I know that I'm deserving. And so sometimes you kind of go, I sometimes feel like there's not a match. There's a disconnect. You're absolutely right. There's a conflict. There's an inner conflict. I know better, but there's a story in here based on my history and my past experience that's got a whole bunch of energy around it that's sitting in here. And the only way we can kind of get to that, well, I mean, there's different ways we can get to it. We can clear it through different ways, but we can see how we can shift it with language. And the way we do that is keep asking why, right? So we just got to try practice answering why. And so it is going to feel like, well, I don't know, because subconsciously, if you're not aware of it, so it's okay if you don't know. It's like, wow, I'm going to move past the conscious and into the unconscious now. And that's where your power is to keep asking why. Does that make sense? And don't worry, we're going to practice this. And this is another thing I actually wanted, which brings me to my point about this 6 weeks. I'm going to take 6 weeks to deliver this information. I'm not promising that at 6 weeks you'll have mastered this. I'm taking 6 weeks to deliver it, 6 weeks for us to practice it in bite-sized pieces. And then you're going to continue and keep going with this. Okay, so it's super okay if you don't have to get this right now. Thanks, Michelle. Thank you for coming out. We're happy to have you here. We'll see you next week. Okay, so thank you for demoing that. That takes courage to demo, Lisa. And that's just a really great reminder that bringing in the unconscious, we can feel like, oh, I don't know what this is. But I'm definitely sensing with you something that you give more power, likely if we were to drill this down further, which I would encourage you to do, but likely on a subconscious level, you actually give power to them. Like you see them as more powerful, or their thing is more powerful over you. Right? I know you're like, oh, this is ridiculous, but that's okay.
But I really don't. Like, I spend a lot of time telling myself, like, I feel sorry for you, that, like, I don't. I really don't. I really honestly believe that, like, and it's toxic right now because the two of them are together. Like, well, I might as well just say it's my mom and my sister. And so they're feeding into each other's crap. So it doesn't matter who I'm talking to. There's innuendos and hidden messages, all the crap. Like they don't put the crap to bed. But why can't, why, when I have a conversation with either one of them, can't all of this positive stuff that I know and I believe and I tell myself, like I literally stop sleeping at night. I literally I'm on the verge of tears all the time. And it's like, why? Like you don't have that power, but you do, but they do. So I don't know why, because I
There's something, there's definitely, I guarantee you, there's something in the power dynamic. There's an unconscious one. Again, it's not here. Yeah, yes, it is a, there is an unconscious one. So there definitely is. So there is a drilling down that you're going to want to do with that one, right? So again, like, so anytime that you're being triggered by something like that, like a trigger is always showing you that there's an unconscious story at play. Right. So again, what you're like, I totally get that you're like, logically, intellectually, I know this stuff. I know that I'm stronger than that, but there's a little sneaky angle. And that's another thing too, is sometimes there's angles on things. So like, this is even just my experience recently. Like, I'm good over here. I'm like golden over here. But you bring in this person or this situation, and I've got it mostly. I believe I'm strong. I've got it mostly. Most of the time, shall I say. However, this other sneaky little angle, and then it's just getting an angle on it. And so there may be, so I've got this belief, but there's this other tiny little piece over here that's coming up to be unearthed. That's all that's happening. So that's something to just be curious about, something to be curious about. Is there something around feeling like you should be able to help resolve it, but it's not working? Like, as in, she should be able to resolve the situation, Jen, like with her sister? Lisa?
Yeah, I was just wondering if because some of the exploration that I've been doing, it was like I'm feeling hurt about a situation and then thinking it's because I was taking it personally. But when I tried to process it, it was that I felt that I was supposed to be able to resolve something that wasn't really my responsibility to resolve. And so it was hitting me because it's like, well, you should be able to fix them. You have these tools, you could share them, you could, yada, yada, yada. So I just wondered if maybe if it wasn't about how you felt around giving your power away, maybe it was about not being able to solve it. Like just throwing out.
That's a wonderful example, Jen, of the different angles that it can come in at. Right. And so this is how we get to, and this is what we're going to practice is when I'm teaching you is how do we get there? How do we get the angle? How do we get the little belief? And really by paying attention to our language. So that's something for you to play with, Lisa. And kind of say, so just know, yes, Jen.
So I have a very similar situation. I have a sister who was practicing this new way of thinking and being. And it was very difficult to do such a thing in our family because
she's my sister.
And my husband are all very wrapped up in these, there's known facts about the world and you need to justify and verify exactly everything you think and believe. And you must behave this way, you must be this way, you must pursue this path. There's certain rules about things. And if you don't, you end up feeling it on the other end quite significantly. And I'm her older sister by 5 years. So when I started watching and observing what she was doing and the challenges that she was being faced with and how gracefully she handled them and the mindset change that she was sharing with me, who again I had a rather negative mindset for a really long time, quite angry about a lot of things. It was merely just, and she's the only one in the family doing it really. So eventually it just spills over and you see the happy places that she's going and how she approaches everything. And it makes it much easier to see the path forward. So it was easy for me to jump on board once I started seeing how good things were working for her and how she was handling the challenges that we have faced all our lives, really, without realizing it. So it really was an example of modeling and being that light when there was just so much challenge.
Dark, right?
Yeah.
And then when our people are close people, it is. And so I don't want to pretend for even a moment that I haven't experienced something similar, Lisa, where someone, or that I still don't experience something similar, where I sometimes am like, oh gosh, like where someone's really affecting me. Because again, they're, especially with our close people. But I just want to affirm, just because I have practiced this, there's always something there for you. And there's always a belief that an unconscious belief on it. So if there's a trigger, there is an unconscious belief. Okay, so you may have got a big bunch of it already. Like I said, we're going like this around. Okay, and so you're just being invited to get the next level of it, the next deeper extension of it. That's all that's going on. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to do that. So that's cool. Thank you, Jen. Appreciate that. Okay, so here is the simple 5-step elevate process. So this is what we're going to practice. I wanted to give you this whole process today, and then we're just going to use this practice over and over the next 6 weeks. Sound good? Okay. So it's observe, listen, identify, reframe, become, repeat. Over and over. So I'm going to break this down a little bit more clearly. Okay, so first of all, and this is the really important part, and maybe sometimes the tricky point, depending on where you're at. So observe is become the observer of your experience and allow what is. So usually, which I think lots of us have been practicing this to some level for sure. The bigger the trigger, the harder this will be. Okay, but it is always the first step. Okay, and I like the analogy, and I feel like it was from Michael Singer, Untethered Soul, but I could be wrong. But I remember at one point hearing this analogy and I loved it, which is it's basically going, instead of being the actor in the movie, so when we're triggered, or just in life, but again, you're really going to feel it when you're triggered or you're in a challenging situation, we feel like we're immersed in this movie. We're the actor feeling all of the experiences and all the feelings and all the overwhelm. And becoming the observer is actually about choosing to step outside the movie and to be the person watching it. This isn't disassociation. this is actually to still engage with it and to sort of be in it, but from more of an observer position. So, okay, I'm going to take the seat of the observer here. This is what I do all the time. So this is when I'm sometimes in the pain, I try and jump so fast to observer seat that I'm like correcting myself before I can even listen to myself. So that is a thing too. So this is it. So this looks like pause. So when you're feeling triggered, when you're feeling emotional, or anytime you just want to evaluate something. So if you're just going, okay, I'm really curious about why I keep creating this situation. Usually we're replaying something over in our head. We want to slip into observer. So pause and move into curiosity. And that's what I think. This is the, I'm curious. You hear me do that all the time as a coach. They'll be like, I'm kind of curious. So you'll be immersed in your story. I'll be telling a story and I'm like, yeah, I'm curious here. Because in curiosity just invites in a new energy. It has us go, oh, wait a second. Maybe I could be sitting in this seat and maybe I could see it differently. That's what curiosity does. And then the next piece is just to kind of notice kind of what level it is from the consciousness chart, right? And again, there's no judgment here. No judgment here. Is what level am I at? Or what am I feeling? Okay, and if I'm like, you know what, I feel myself really in fear right now, or I feel myself really, you can use it. We also have the emotional GPS on page 7, which really is sort of a mimic to this chart as well. And you could just kind of look. So again, the lower the vibe, right? So the lower the vibe, the lower the consciousness, which just means you're seeing yourself as separate. You're seeing other people as separate. You're not seeing your power. You're not seeing yourself in love. You're not seeing others in love. That's kind of what that lower state feels like, or is what's really going on there. So your job is to become observer and get into the seat instead of being immersed in the movie. And then just to allow what is, because usually what's happening in that moment too is we're trying to quickly fix it. We're trying to offload it. We're trying to make it better. We're trying to we're in it, trying to do it all. And so what it is being able to sit in the observer seat and go, interesting. Here's what I'm feeling. Whoa, seizing chest. Hi, shame. Hello, anxiety. And it's just to really allow it, because then it leads us to our next step, which is number 2. And that is listen. Your job next is to listen, to tune in, to hear your story and identify where your power is positioned. So a lot of times, again, because we are in our head doing this, we may not even realize there's a story. And this is the best thing ever. And I'm the same way. I don't even realize, I'm not thinking anything. Nothing's really going on. I'm only thinking this. There's nothing going on here until I start talking. And that's where the juice is when you, so I really encourage you to, if you're talking to yourself or you're talking to someone else who's a trusted, actually, it doesn't even matter if it's a trusted source, but just the speaking out loud is super important. And I think some of you have been on the other end of that. You come to me like, well, I don't know what's going on or whatever. And just as soon as you start speaking it out loud, all of a sudden you start hearing it and you start going, oh, when it's all in our head, we're really immersed, we're in the movie. Okay. So we're going to be the observer. Now I'm going to listen to my story. So when this back situation that I had, it was really kind of funny. I was like, okay, cool. And so people were all asking me questions, I'm getting messages, you know, all this was happening. And it was funny, as I was typing my messages, I was like, oh, can't wait to read this one back because I can't wait to see what I'm thinking right now, or what is it, how I'm creating this, or what's at the root of this. So I was kind of excited, like, cool, there's something here for me. It's going to be revealing some old story I have that I'm sick of, guarantee you. So I was kind of excited that I was really going to be able to unearth it up because I was in pain. So speak your thoughts out loud, and then we're going to listen to the words you see. So processing speaking is preferred than me trying to process speaking. Yes. What can we, sorry, let me just double check here. Okay. Processing speaking is preferred than me trying to process. What can we do on our own? Write it out. Do you mean you don't like speaking? Oh, or you talk to yourself. That's what I mean.
Sorry, I totally messed up what I was
Okay.
typing there. I was just saying processing by speaking and hearing what I'm saying is preferred.
Yes.
But you don't always have that opportunity. So what can you do on your own to get out of your head? Because it gets very confusing.
Yeah. So I talk to myself. So that's one of the things I do is I talk to myself. So I will, often talk to myself. You might think I have a problem. That's okay. But no, I talk to myself out loud, and it's funny because when I don't say it out loud, I'm only aware of the conscious thoughts. I'm only aware of the conscious, and it feels like there's nothing. It's everything, whatever. So then when I start speaking it out loud, and I'm going to share how I do this, speak it out loud, all of a sudden I can hear it. And now some people will like to write, and so if you like to write or do a combination of both, writing works the same. The point is get it out of you. Okay? That's why coaching works. That's why it's like getting it out of you, and now I'm getting it out of you, so now I can see it. Okay? Like what is all in here, I'm just feeling it all, and I'm all uncomfortable with it. So we have to get it out so I can see it. And because I chose an observer position, right, which is it's okay for me to observe this, and I'm also feeling it. So I'm not telling you to offload that feeling. Go feel that funky feeling. That's a song, I think. Go feel that funky feeling. Anyways, but allow it. We often want to offload it. We want to get rid of it so fast, or we judge it or whatever, but just allow it. Oh God, that's ugly. Oh, that means. So when I was feeling so uncomfortable on my back, and someone was like having to my husband was having to kind of huff and puff around because he had to take on everything, which he does a lot anyways. I was like, oh, feel that feeling of shame and uncomfortableness about not contributing, not holding up my end. God, what a burden I am. I'm such a burden. Oh my God, I'm so needy. I cannot be needy. This was my story. This is what was coming up. And he wasn't, and then he literally, he's like, God, you guys are so needy, because the dog, the cat, I'm lying there not being able to do anything. The dog, the cat were barking. Everyone's wanting food. He didn't mean it like that. Oh, but I'm like, oh yeah, there's my story. There it is. You can't be needy. So I got to see it, right? I can't be needy. I am strong, independent. So again, I'm strong, independent in my conscious, right? But when I start hearing it and saying it out loud, and I start feeling shame and guilt and uncomfortableness, I was like, oh, what is this? And then I got this story. So the key here is feeling it and then catch the story attached to it. And so how we do this is we start paying attention. So what we say to ourselves or to others. So you can totally do this with someone else as well. So you want to ask, what am I feeling right now? That's how you can start. What am I feeling right now? Or what am I experiencing right now? So it could be a feeling, or it's like a situation, right? So which is, and sometimes I'll recognize that there's a theme in my life. I'm like, oh God, here we are again. This is a theme. So I kind of get excited about themes sometimes. This is how I look at it now. Oh, there's a theme. Here we are again is what a theme is. Oh, look, here we are again. Theme, yes. The themes are like, there's a real solid, good belief system down there, rooted deep. That's what a theme is. But when we have the tools to unearth it, then we can actually do something about it, and we can actually get rid of the theme. Okay. So what am I feeling now? What am I experiencing now? And ask why. Keep asking why. The goal here is to drill it down, and then write it out and listen. Or record it. So if you are just like spewing in the moment, like the idea is that you really want to get to an observer position so you can hear yourself, right? You want to be able to hear yourself. And if you're finding that it's too hard to pay attention to, like record yourself or write it down, and then you can listen back to it. That might be really helpful too. So whatever comes after because is a belief that is contributing to your experience. So why? You might immediately say, I don't know, and then go, okay, what if I did? It's a question you get as a coaching tool. What if you did know? Who might know? And just keep asking. So you may have to sit with it for a second. This is unconscious stuff. So you may have to sit there with why? Why do I feel this way? Because, and then pay attention. And then keep going. Why? Why? You know, is this really true? Of course it's really true. Why? Well, because that's what I've experienced. Why? Well, because that's just the way it is. That's the way my family and I do things. Why? Well, because that's because we don't do differently than that. That's the rule. Why? So this is what I really want you to. This is the fun skill. And then you could ask yourself any questions you want. You may find that there's questions wanting to come in. So here's some examples, and we are going to dive deeper into each of these as we go over the week. So I just want to get the ball rolling here. Who has the power in this situation? Well, you'll know who has the power because whoever you're blaming, criticizing, or judging, or you're feeling mad at has the power, just so you know. So why? Why do they have the power? You're gonna be mad at this. You're gonna be annoyed by this. That's okay. Why? Just keep lying yourself. And then, do you have a choice in this situation? Of course I don't have a choice. Well, why or why not? Well, because I'm this and they're that. I don't have a choice. What do you mean I have a choice? Why would I choose this? I would never choose this. Right? This is probably what it's going to sound like. That's okay. Just go with it. Right? And you just want to keep drilling it down. And you want to get to the heart of your story. And the heart of your story is like, what do you believe is causing your current experience? Do not filter. Do not attempt to correct yourself. So when I started hearing myself, like judging myself, and like I could hear it so fast, and I was like, oh, that's terrible that I believe that. Like you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, come on, I don't want to believe that. I don't want to think that. So don't filter. You know, and it really came down to like, oh my gosh, like I don't, there's a level of deserving I don't allow here because it's not okay, it's not safe. I lose people, you know, so it's just safer to stay small, it's safer to hide, to only to grow to a certain level or whatever. So that's what I got down to. So that's the whole point, is you're going to get down to like what's going to feel like, oh, this is it. And when you actually look at the statement will likely very much reflect exactly what's going on in your world, very literally. Like very literally. So that core belief will very literally be showing up in your life. It's kind of fun. This is where I find it a little bit fun. Because I'm like, and so sometimes I'll be like, I'll be sitting with the belief and kind of playing with it. What is the angle? What is the angle on this? What is the angle on this? And I kind of look at it and I'm kind of looking at the situation and I'm like, yeah, this is the angle, because this belief is being literally reflected in the situation if I were the other tide. So you just kind of want to massage it and kind of see what comes in. And it will land and you'll go, oh, that's it. And that feeling is like, oh, yeah, that's it. That it sits here. I can feel it sitting. It's probably somewhere in your body. So you're just going to keep drilling it down with your why. You're going to pester yourself. And every time you say, oh, I don't know, what if you did know? And then just sit with it a little longer. So this is where patience goes. Okay, questions about that? This is bringing unconsciousness to light. How exciting, eh? Okay, any comments, questions? Oh, okay, so step number 3, identify. So you're going to reveal the language that is creating your current experience. So this is where it can be helpful to write it down, especially at first. So when you can kind of write your language, and I'm going to start teaching you to pay attention to the language that is keeping you at a lower level, so the unconscious level. And then I'm going to show you the actual language that's the up level to it. Like, how do you actually correct it? That's what this course is going to really be about. So the book, I read the book, Conscious Language, The Logos of Now, which is actually what created the breakthrough for me. So this is the book that I read that was like, right? Now, it's not an easy read particularly. It's kind of like I don't know. It's just, so it's not what I would generally recommend to people, like, oh, it's a great read. It's a little bit, yeah. However, it's a fabulous concept. And so he has sort of created this concept of like elevations of language, but he calls it domains. And he has courses in the States that you take in person to do this stuff. So I really wanted to make sure I give credit to his concept, and I've used it for this section here. And I've kind of tweaked it and kind of using the concept and referring kind of as the guide for this. But I felt like some of the language he was using and stuff was kind of hard to relate to, and a little bit like I felt like it didn't always match. So I tweaked it So, but giving full credit to, this is where I learned it, okay? So there's language elevations. So basically there's kind of like level 1, level 2, and the more you move up is the more towards mastery, where your language is really creating what you desire, versus level 1, you're really blocking and repelling what you desire. And you can be anywhere all over the place. It doesn't mean like I'm down here always or up here always, but when you become a manifesting master, or you're really being an intentional creator, you're predominantly operating on these, the 11 and 12 level. Okay, so that's what we're going to do, is help you really pay attention to the language that's keeping you at maybe some of the lower levels. So the first one is limitation and lack. So these are the words these are the words you're going to want to pay attention to. So if you hear yourself saying these words, you're in complete repel. Complete repel. Oh, it's coming in. I want, I need, I can't, it's too hard. Okay, those are some examples. We're going to dive in deep in each of these as we go, don't worry, but I want to just give you a little bit of example. Okay, I can't, I need, I want, it's too hard. So that would, if you're hearing yourself say those words, you're in limitation and lack. No judgment. Number 2 is negative focus. So it could be like, it's one level up, because some of you're going to know some of the language here. I choose to lose weight. Negative focus. I choose to not be sad. Not be sad means that you're going to be sad. I choose to lose weight. You're focused on the weight. You're going to lose. Like it's a negative focus, and when we focus on the negative, we get what we get. We get the negative. That's what happens there. And we will be diving in fully into this more as we go. I just want to outline the different levels. Wishy-washy. This is the best way to describe this one. I'll attempt to change. I'm going to try really hard. I hope it works. This is wishy-washy. This pushes a really wishy-washy energy out there. I'll try. That's the best one. How much time? I'll try that. Sure, I'll try that. Yeah, no, you won't. You're gonna get so what is the energy behind that? So that's the experience you're gonna get. You may get a little of it, a little not, but it's not gonna be anything really. Yeah, you're pretty much in repel mode. And then here's where you're grandly uncommitted. Okay, so I really want to, this really all or nothing type thing. I'll give it my all. I'll do whatever it takes. It sounds so honorable, right? I'll totally improve. I'm going to create a total transformation. Completely unspecific, totally uncommitted. And you're just in this sort of grandiose energy that sounds like you're ready for something, maybe. It sounds like you're because I'm using big words like all and total, but it's about total uncommitment. So you will get the reflection of that. Then there's conditional allowing. I choose to lose weight so that I will be loved. See the condition there? I'm committed to success so that I will be accepted by my peers. I deserve success because I've worked hard. So what happens is sometimes you will get a little bit of it, but only when you meet the condition, or only when the condition is met. So it's conditional allowing. So again, you're moving up, so you're starting to experience some stuff, you're getting it, but then if I don't work hard, I lose the success. If I don't perceive that I'm getting love, then I can't lose weight. And if I don't have acceptance by my peers, then I won't be committed to success. Do you see how this works? So it's conditional. So you can kind of have it, but only when you meet the condition. I remember totally setting myself up for this in my early days, when I was really not okay with having money and deserving in sort of another level of money. And I remember being like, oh, I deserve money, like trying to get into the energy, because as Jen knows, we have a bit of a big story around this, a deservingness story. And like what having money meant wasn't a good thing, which is odd, but that was my story anyways. It was my story. I don't want to put that on anyone as what I got. And so when I was like, okay, I want to open up to this new level because I really work hard. So that's literally what I would say. I deserve this because I work hard. So do you know what I had to do? I had to work really, 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 really hard. And then if I believed I didn't work hard, or there was any evidence outside of me that I haven't worked hard enough, what is that anyways? I would lose the money. Yeah, it's really awful. So you can imagine the experience I was having. Oh, so hard. It was exhausting because I had conditions. Okay. So what are your conditions? But we will be going through all this. Don't worry, you don't have to know it all now. Vague choice. I choose to have the job I've always hoped for. I choose to share these gifts. So it's really about, we're keeping it outside of ourselves. So there's no specificity, we're not owning it in any way, where it's just kind of like, oh, here, it's like, yeah, I want the job that's this, but it's the job and it's over there. It's not like I'm not in it and I'm not immersed in it. So we want to pay. So the language he will share is like this, them, it, like disconnected. Then canceled out. I'm excited, but isn't it beautiful? You did a good job, however. So we often will see this. Oh yeah, that was really great, but you get the but, whatever's after the but, and then it cancels out everything before it. Yeah, I can have that, but, or I can do this if. So you have to have the condition, you have to have the whatever's there, and it cancels anything before it. Process only. Oh, did I ever catch myself in this one too? This was actually one of the breakthroughs for me. I'm working on it. I'm going to do it differently. I'm doing the work. Ooh, we hear that one all the time. I'm trying. We're in process, never receiving the outcome. Outcome out there, I'm always in process. So I had a fun example of this with my reno in the summertime. So I was so excited. Our reno has started. Look, this is my reno has started. And then all of a sudden my reno completely stalled. Like literally people disappearing, no access for like a month. No one was getting back to me. I was like, what the hell's going on here? Fortunately, I'd taken this course. I knew better. And I was first blaming all the people outside of me for being flaky. And then I went, hold on here. What am I saying about this reno? And I kept saying, oh, my reno has started. That's it. My reno so that's all I got is it started, but it wasn't in motion. So I say this to my husband. I'm like, oh my God, I think it's me. He looks at me like I'm crazy. Like, it's just the insurance people. It's just, no. It's all energy. It's all energy. He's like, okay. I'm like, watch. And I said to him on a walk, I said, our deck is completed, or our deck is almost completed. I couldn't get to completed because it wasn't. So I had to get to what it was close to. Our deck is almost completed. And I got into the energy, but I'll teach you. The next day, the guy called me, this came in, insurance came in, and Corey's like, shut up. I'm like, I'm serious. I'm like, this is real deal. He's like, oh my God. And everything within a very short period of time is done. And I was like, wow, look at the power I have. Not a power over, but just like, wow, look how much I'm influencing my experience. So sometimes when we're in process, we're never getting the outcome. So that's another one I want to pay attention to. Codependence. If you're happy, then I'm happy. Eek. So I can only be happy when you are. Eek. Let me think. So I need your permission for me to think. So sometimes we're just sort of in this codependent energy. Let me just go to the washroom. Let me, right? That's that energy that I'm only okay, or I can only do something if you give me permission, or I have something from outside of me. You make me angry when. So you're making somebody responsible for how you feel. Unspecific. Now I often coach people right here. And there's a reason I do this. Like this is even the workshop that we did on at New Year's. This is the almost this. I choose love. I choose happiness. It's just to get into the energy of the feeling. I choose this higher vibe level. It is the almost there outcome, right? So I keep choosing it, but I haven't given any specific parameters. So I just keep it's almost there, almost there. Here's the thing though, this is where I always like to, this is where I don't want to say the word caution people, but I like people to become aware. Sometimes ego is super in charge, and all the specifics we have about something is really ego driven, right? And so we think that the reason we want these things, and we think that we want these things is because that thing is going to make us happy. And so then we go put really specific, you can go get super specific with everything you want and bring it into your experience, and then realize, oh my God, I'm not happy. Right? It wasn't that thing. So I always like to say, choose happiness and follow happiness. And then as you follow happiness, and as you get a feel for happiness, you know how to feel, it starts to get specific. Then add specificity. Then add, which is the next step, is this specificity, right? Then we can start asking adding some of the specific stuffs. Oh, wow. That's a word. Specific stuff to help fine tune and make sure that it's in alignment. Okay, so there's a little caveat that I like to say there. This isn't all like you're going to go from one day to this. This is a process of kind of growing through it. And then the next one is outcome creator. I am love. I have love. And so this is really about that you actually are creating the outcomes. You're actually manifesting pretty quickly because you actually see yourself as the creator. You actually believe you are the creator. You're in full alignment. And as that, you recognize that and you're really in the energy of that. And that's when stuff starts to happen pretty quick. What I just said, whatever you put after I am, whatever you put after I am or I have, you get. So this person at this level, you're really, really conscious and aware about what your language you're choosing because you recognize you'll literally get it. And you get it fast at this level. And then there's mastery. You're the manifesting master. I am, I choose, I will, I have, I create. And then with that, with specificity, oh God, specificity, yes, you are declaring, yes, it's a very strong declaration coming from a very deep place. There's not coming from the ego. And that's the really big difference here. And it's with specificity, deep resonance, and deep belief. So what I must affirm with you all here, this isn't about just the words. It's about getting the words and then making sure they resonate on a deep level, and you have to come to believe it. And then you energize it. And that's when the manifesting happens fast, which takes me to 4, is when you recognize kind of where you're at on this level and you write it down and you see your words. You're like, oh, wow, look at that. Look what I'm creating. How cool is this? Right. And so then we got to reframe it. So the cool thing is when I was like, oh, I'm not okay with being needy. It's not okay with being in need. Then I have to reframe that. And that's what this next step is. So what do you choose instead? Okay. What language supports your choice or what you choose? And again, I want you to really recognize that you get to choose this. You could choose to continue to believe what you're believing. That's cool. No one needs to change that. Or you could choose to believe something instead. And that's your right and your power to do so. Okay, but you don't have to. So if you are going to choose, again, this is a little bit of like, okay, decide you're going to choose this. And then what language supports that choice? I will be coaching you how to do this. And then adjust and needed so it feels right. So you do have to play with it. So going from, if you're kind of like sitting into like your limitation and lack and I can't and I don't see possibility there, slipping right into like, it's possible and I got it, like, and I have it now is a big jump. Like, so chances are you're not going to be able to deep believe that because you got to up level. It's a process of up leveling. So that's where it comes into, okay, I'm just going to choose. I choose this. So I choose really means like, I know I don't have it right now, but I choose this instead. Because that's a nice little up level, a nice little bump. Okay. And then we're going to move, we're going to invite in, we can invite in more and we can invite in more possibility. And as you see that becomes possible and that becomes true for you, you build belief. We have to build our beliefs, right? Because they need to resonate deeply in order for them to really be something that turn into something. We can't just, there's this fake it till you make it thing. I get it on a level, but you really got to be able to believe something to really turn it in. And the deeper you believe it, the more you energize it, the faster it happens. And then what a feeling is a match for your new choice, right? So is it like gratitude, joy, contentment, satisfaction, peace, ease? Like, what is it? So the idea then, which is then step 5, you've got to become what you choose through word, belief, and feeling. Feeling is it's the switch. So often we do this. I deserve it. I deserve it. Yeah, I deserve it. And we're all in our head trying to affirm a new story. And we're trying to just tell the story all in our head. We don't actually believe it. Like, it's not on a deep energetic belief. We don't necessarily believe it. This is the fake it till you get thing. You kind of get in here. So first say your new belief out loud. Okay. Feel the belief in your body. Does it resonate? And if it doesn't resonate, you got to choose a new, you got to tweak it. You got to play with it, recognizing that I can tweak it as I go. So I recognize that this isn't going to turn to a massive manifestation right now, but it's going to move me away from this challenging situation. It's going to create a shift. And then once I create that shift, I can choose a new. So this is why this process goes on repeat. So does it resonate? It might feel a bit uncomfortable, but like, I got it. Yeah, I can get it. This is what I always say to people, like, just open to the possibility. You think it's possible? Well, I guess it's possible. Right? So then if it's possible, why don't you choose it? And then just that opens up to the allowing. It stops repelling and it opens up some allowing. And then how does it feel? So we want to, if it feels good, can you deepen and amplify that feeling? And so we want to be able to just like feel it in your body. You got to feel it in the body. Imagine, envision yourself being the new belief. So we've got to energize it. We've got to energize this puppy, because it's so easy to energize all the old stuff and all the old thing and to just exist over there. So we've got to take time to do the energizing the new one, because you become what you believe and expect. This is it. This is what I believe and this is what I expect, that's what's going to happen. So if you believe, like truly believe, and you feel it and you energize the new belief. So here's the thing, when it comes in, the opposite stuff comes in, and it will, I promise you, the opposition and contrast to your belief will come in. And it's actually in the moment of the contrast, when it feels direct opposition to this new belief, but I believe this, is you have to practice that new belief in that moment. That's where healing happens. And that's where you go, oh, and the rewiring happens. Okay, so we will have to take action on this. You can't just sit in a corner over here and believe, and it will help, right? But you will experience contrast. You're going to experience triggers. That's life. Your job is then to enact the new belief in the moment. That creates a healing and a new wiring. Oh, it was actually safe to do that. Huh, look at that. New belief, wired. And now I begin acting from that place. And that's how we up level. A little belief at a time. Some of them will be bigger. They'll create a bigger experience, like a bigger level, like upshift. Now be ready for the shifts and changes that will happen as a result of your new up-leveled self. So you do start, it's energy. When you start showing up and believing different, you will create different dynamics. It does shift. And some will appear positive and amazing and some won't. It's part of the shift. It's part of it. And so we've got to be able to just take this process and go into the parts that aren't so great and use this process there and continue to use it in all the good fun ways too. Like, oh, like I'm creating this over here. Like, what is it that I believe? What is the like, be curious about like how you're creating this amazing experience over here. Don't go focusing always on the quote unquote bad stuff, but really allow yourself to relish and be in all the wonderful things that you have and are experiencing, because you're creating as well. Questions about this? Okay, so your first practice, so this is what you're going to be walking away with here to practice over the course between now and next Friday. So, and I'm going to give you 2 more of these between now and next Friday. Okay, good to see you. Awesome. So we're going to have you really pay attention to level 1, the elevation level 1, limitation and lack. So we're going to be tuned in this week for this language. So I want, I can't, it's too hard, I don't know how, I don't understand, I'm blocked, it's beyond my control, it's beyond my reach, I need. So that kind of language, that's a reflection of limitation and lack. You'll see that I want means I am without. So when I'm focusing on my want, the energy behind I want is I am without. So my energy is I am without. I can't means I cannot. It's too hard, not just one hard, too hard. I don't know how, I do not know how, and I can prove it. So again, think about the energy behind the stuff on the left. It's like strong, like really like low, deep energy or hard energy. I don't understand, I can prove it. I'm blocked. It's in my way and I can prove it. It's beyond my control, means I'm not in control, so don't blame me. It's beyond my reach. It's not within my reach and don't ask me to stretch. I need, again, I am without. So recognize, like you'll start to see, where do I say these things? And as I say these things, just your life is a boomerang. It's called the boomerang effect. Your life is just boomeranging back to you, your inner experience. So that's what you just see life as. That's what I see life as that. I went a little blurry there. So I just see life as boomeranging my stuff back to me. How cool is that? So then I can choose to do something with it if I don't like it. So easy. Okay, I'm not gonna say this is necessarily easy, but it can be. Let's not set up a scenario that says this has to be hard, because that's in limitation and lack. That's this level here. So I definitely noticed myself saying things, oh, it's challenging, or it's not going to be easy. Well, it could be. I'm open to the possibility that it's easy. I allow it to be easy. Okay, so just play with your language a little bit. So then on the flip side of all of this, we've got limitation and lack, and then the up level for this would be the freedom of choice. right? And so I won't go through everything on here, but like I want goes, I choose, I claim, I have, I will have. So you're going to reframe it. So when you get the statement that you're saying, now you get to reframe it and practice that 4 and 5. And you can reframe it using the words on the right-hand side here. So instead of I can't or I want, I choose. Or I can't, I can. Or I choose to be able to. Or I empower myself to. I'll find a way to be able to. Or will you help me do this? Right? So play with those. You do want to kind of have it resonate. You want to feel like, again, it has to resonate with you where you can get there. It's like, can I get to that level? Can I get to this? Yeah, I can. And how does it feel? I feel hopeful. Right? And then we're going to energize. It's too hard. I choose to make it easy or easeful. I empower it to be easy. Even though it appears challenging, I will do it. Not I hope to, or I'll try. I will do it. I don't know how. Well, I choose to know how. Again, sometimes I don't know just shuts down all possibility, right? Or the question, well, I don't know. So then the question is, well, what if I did know? I choose to know. I choose to know this. And so then it's about subconscious, or that I now activate a new part of me that actually knows, which of course your core self always knows. Your higher self always knows. So it's just inviting in that instead of ego or that sort of wounded part of us. I'm blocked. I'm clear. I have my clear path, not a clear path or the clear path, because that's somebody else's. It's not yours. I have my clear path. I am the open door. Ooh, that's high level one there. So you might not be able to get to that right away, and that's okay. So that's what you might find. You might look at some of the stuff and you're like, oh, I can't get there yet. That's cool, right? But you may be able to get there in time once we build belief. So we're going to be building belief and building the sense that this is possible. It's beyond my control. It's within my control. Okay. Or even if you're like, I don't even know if I can get there. I choose for it to be within my control. I choose for it to be, because right now it might be like, I don't feel like it's in my control and I can't get there. That's okay. I choose to be able to get there. I choose to be in control. Or I have divine control. If we really recognize that we are all one on a spiritual level, we are all one. Divine is working through us. And so I can tap into that at any moment and I can have divine control as well. So that's that level of belief. It's beyond my reach. Okay, it's within my reach, or I choose to have it within my reach. I have all that I require in hand, or I choose to have all. So if you can't get there with the straight up belief, go with the choice one. I choose. And then I need, same thing. I choose, I claim, I have, I'm claiming, I deserve. So really that's always coming back to like, oh, I'm without. So what do you feel like you're without? And then what do you want to choose to have instead? That would be the alternative to that. Okay. So this is the process you're just going to work through over the course of our time together here. And each week I'm going to bring you a new chart, or not each week. So on Monday, you'll get a new one of these. So you'll get level 2. And then on Wednesday, you'll get level 3. And then our next session, you'll get a level 4. So I'm going to just do it in bite-sized pieces. So I just want you to be aware of certain levels. So don't feel like you have to get all of this at once. Remember, we're going to take 6 weeks to just get this information and practice. You can create tremendous shifts just by being paying attention to level 1, because we all go there with some things in our life. I guarantee you I still do too. So it's not about that you're going to be existing entirely at level 11 and 12, but you'll just be existing there more often. Right. And then when you do slip into limitation lack, you just catch it quicker, right? Or you do it less and less. So that's the goal. That's the practice here. So the process is just simply slipping into observing, listening to your story, paying attention to the limitation and lack words. And then I've got some examples here of how you reframe it. So I need money. So I choose money. I have money. I enjoy having money. So just, again, these are just examples. It's too hard to find love. I choose to have love with ease. Even though it appears challenging, I will have love. I have love. I am love. So these are the different things you can play with. I don't know my next step. I choose to know my next step. I do know my next step. I am within me, which is really that I am a source that's within all of us, knows the next step, and I can access that. Amplify the feeling, right? And then affirm the new belief, and then try and put it into action, especially when you're triggered and it goes the other way. That's the best time to try and amplify it. Not always easy. Well, it could be. You see how you're going to be listening to everyone yourself and be like correcting pretty quickly. right? So if it's feeling hard, that's okay. You're in a learning phase. This is new, and ego can get super activated when we start, like, this is actually really shifting ego out of the picture. So ego can get super, super activated because it's really, really attached to your old beliefs, and it can feel extremely threatened by this. So that's okay. So we can just have lots of compassion and understanding for this part of us. Totally okay. Okay. And if it's happening, usually the degree to which you have the resistance is the degree to which is possible for you to experience something new. And a new, I always like to say, the degree that it's pushing this way is the degree to which you can experience it this way. Positive direction. All right. So let's share lots in the Facebook group. You know, like if you want to just chat and share or talk, engage with you, that's a great opportunity for us to begin practicing this. Or like, oh, I can't get this one, or I don't know how to reframe it. Pop it in there and we can totally connect through there. And the next week we will come back as another masterclass, and we will do, we will be breaking each section of this process down a little bit more in depth. Right? So just any questions that are come. So just know that we're going to be diving into each section of this process in more depth so that you can really like feel confident in using it and feel skilled with using it. All right, everyone. Any questions, comments? Thank you all so much for joining me today. Thank you. You're welcome. And I will see you all next week. So this recording will come up about 24 hours from now. And then so you can watch it again. And or if you ever have to miss a class, the goal is for me to have it up within 24 hours on the platform. And I will send it out to you all if you want to listen or watch again. All right, everyone. Thank you. Take care.